Welcome back to our channel. We are Cryptofocus live from Money 2020. And the name says Cryptofocus, but for the past 3 days, we have focused on traditional finance, we have focused on C5, we have focused on AI, Web3, Web2, IT solutions, everything in between that makes Money 2020 the biggest event in Europe for fintech and everybody around. So, identification is at the core of being safe. I'm going to repeat that. Identification is at the core of being safe. If you can identify the bad actors before they get in, you can prevent a lot of fraudulent cases. You could prevent fraud at its core. And your fingerprint is very distinguishable. There isn't a duplicate in the world. So when you call a company Fingerprint, you're sending a clear message. The message is, we can find anybody and tell you exactly who that person is. And that's, if I understand it right, what Fingerprint does. I'm going to try it. Ekan.
Yes.
Did I succeed?
Yes, you did.
Trust me, I was practicing for a few minutes to make sure I say that properly. And Ekan, thanks for being here with us. Thanks for sitting down with us. And it's very important for us to understand exactly what Fingerprint is doing. You said, hey, it's not about the fraud prevention, it's about the identification. It's about the intent of that person that you have identified. So if that's what you're trying to accomplish, give us a little brief elevator pitch. How do you actually accomplish this?
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I said it's not prevent fraud, we identify because that's an important step and distinction, right? So similar to you said, fingerprint is unique. Yes, we do the same thing for devices. So we uniquely fingerprint each of the device that comes to your website and identify them. And not just identify them, but we identify the intent. Now, why is that important? Because people can come to your website, bots can come to your website, and now more in the future, AI is going to come to your website. So now you need to identify each one of them, but it's not enough because from a fraud perspective, if you just identify, you cannot block all non-human traffic, for example, right? Because there could be some good AI agents, good bots. That's where the intent.
You will go out of business.
Yeah, that's why the intent becomes important, right? So we not just identify who comes in to what device comes to your website, but we say like, are they coming in with the right intent? Are they legitimate customers, so you don't want to introduce friction and frustrate them? Or are they coming in with a fraudulent intent, trying to commit something, fraud on your website? Then we share that information, and that helps our customers take the necessary steps to add friction to prevent fraud. But we also drive other use cases, right? Because sometimes you may want to say like, hey, Immanuel is a very good customer of ours, and we know from his device that this is Immanuel. I'm just going to make it as seamless as possible for Immanuel to conduct financial transaction or retail, whatever industry that you're in.
That was interesting. So you're not only trying to keep out the bad actors, you're also trying to make sure that those good actors, their experience and their journey is improved.
Exactly. Yeah, it's frictionless, right? So if you introduce friction, like you said, you're going to lose business, right? Because the customer is going to be frustrated and saying like, oh, it's so hard to do business with this website, to this company, because they keep asking me again and again to authenticate who I am. And that's what we help customers avoid and prevent.
Now, the technology behind this, how do you guys get to the point where you're like, hey, I've worked on the technology, I'm going to introduce it, and now I'm standing with a booth at Money 2020. Because those steps usually are far and wide apart. Because before you actually stand here and say, hey, this product is something that 10,000 people should be exposed to, how do you ensure that what you're trying to push to market is actually ready?
Yeah, very good question. So I have a team of researchers, right, whose primary goal is to identify all the signals that we're collecting. We collect over 100 signals. All the signals we're collecting help us how accurately identify every visitor to the website. And we test that signal internally with our own inside our own company, in fact, our own website. We eat our own dog food. And also we do extensive testing slowly with customers to make sure, and we don't roll it out immediately. So the signals, once we know for sure, okay, now we can very highly accurately identify every visitor and their intent, then we roll it out to the customer. So there's a process that goes from research all the way to rolling it out to our customers.
Now, I'll be honest with you. bad actors are highly intelligent people.
Yeah.
They, that's what they live for. They live to get past whatever you've created.
Yeah.
How do you ensure to stay a step ahead?
Very good question. Especially with AI, it's even more,
Exactly.
even more, easier for them to bring
Yes.
more sophisticated, complicated fraud. That's where again, like we stay ahead because we keep constantly in touch with what Google and Apple are changing or providing us from in the ecosystem, because the browser belongs to those two big companies. And also we constantly look for signals, right? Because we collect 100 plus signals and we have mapped over 1.5 billion devices, unique devices across the world through our customers, we have patterns, right? So we know the patterns and we constantly update the patterns. Our machine learning models constantly learning the patterns. So when a fraudster evolves, we can quickly determine like, oh, this pattern is weird. Like this is something we have not seen before. This is not something we have seen in our 1.5 billion devices. So now we know that it is kind of different than
The normal.
normal one,
Yeah.
right? So that's how, and we constantly evolve, right? Like that's the only way to keep ahead of the fraudsters. Is like we have to stay ahead of them and be more smarter than them.
Now, the underlying message of Money 2020 for this year was agentic AI.
Yeah.
Now, we were discussing with many people sat in that chair, and one of them told me something very interesting. Scammers now don't scam one person at a time, they're scamming 100 people at the same time. How do you stay ahead by not only making sure you can protect one company, but 100 companies at the same time?
Yeah, good questions. Yeah, like, you're absolutely right. Like AI is a big talk of this, and it'll continue to be because the AI agents are continue to proliferate. So the way we recently released in February, we released first our AI agent ecosystem, right, where we start detecting AI agents and we start categorizing the good ones because they inform and they have a signed protocol, which is evolving, but we are capturing that. And just 2 days ago, this week, when after Money 2020 happened, we introduced Automation Intelligence API, which also detects AI assistants, right? So that's those kind of constant evolution is how we can kind of understand how AI agents work. So now we can continuously map a customer journey before it hits it, and AI agent detection is part of that.
So, as you guys prepare to actually keep protecting all of these companies at the same time, what's the next step? What's the next hurdle that you see as Fingerprint coming up?
Yeah, the like continuing that theme, the big continuous, it's going to be a hurdle that's going to constantly in place is the AI, right? So we got to constantly keep in researching more. Like now our researchers, part of my research team, is continuously keeping an eye out on how AI agents evolve, what are new patterns coming in, right? We learn from the traffic that's we continuously mine our own data that we collect from all our customers, like through the 1.5 billion devices, and say like, okay, is there a different pattern that we see? Because we constantly monitor saying like, is our accuracy the same? We detect bots, right? Like, is there bot detection? Or is there a new bot that's coming in, new AI agent that's coming in, or new AI agent that's claiming to be a good AI agent is coming in, right? So we constantly internally have monitors that constantly observe it, right? So that's the one. But I would say if the biggest thing is the AI is going to be the biggest challenge, right? Because that is going to very fastly evolve, and that is the key hurdle that I see in the coming years.
And I find it so interesting because the underlying message is agentic AI is here, we need to embrace it, but at the same time, it's going to be a hurdle for those trying to protect the ecosystem. And now, from Fingerprint's perspective, why was it important to be present at Money 2020?
Because we are right in that space, right? We serve multiple different, like for example, you can see games developers here, you can see banks here, you can see fintech vendors here, you can see acquirers here, payment gateways. We kind of across all of that space, right? So everybody, fraud is universal, right? everybody can hear because it is they experience fraud. It could be slightly different from depending on the industry you are. In some cases, it could be promo abuse. In some cases, it could be like payment related fraud, or it could be credential stuffing, social engineering. It affects everyone, right? That's why we are here, because what we do the value that we provide is kind of universally applies to all the, pretty much all the vendors, all the people who are here, all the industries who are here.
Wow. I was kind of processing that for me and for a minute in my mind. Fraud is universal. And if you're dealing with universal fraud, the way he put it, you need to be able to provide security at a universal level.
Yep.
And that's what Fingerprint is doing.
Yes, exactly.
Ekan, it was interesting to sit down with you because we sat down with a lot of different fraud prevention companies and everybody's talking about, hey, we're going to prevent it, we're going to help you, we're going to protect you. But at the level that you're talking about, identification and intent. So if you have one takeaway from this interview, remember that. It's not about fraud prevention or the identification, it's about the intent. It's the intent of that device, it's the intent of that AI agent, it's the intent of the person who's trying to get in.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Fraud is fast, but Fingerprint is faster.
I'm not going to say anything else. He said it. Fraud is fast. Fingerprint is faster. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. We're Cryptofocus, Ekan, Fingerprint, and we were live right here from Money 2020.